Everybody, it's Felisa. First of all, I want to apologize that this microphone is in the way. It felt like I had some auditory issues with my last upload, and I wanted to make sure that I had a clear audio for this particular vlog. I did order a new microphone. Not that y'all really need to know that, but I did order a new microphone, and hopefully I won't have to have this as close to my mouth. But hopefully there won't be any issues with hearing what it is that I'm saying for this particular vlog. This will be the first entry into my missing case files, and I do want to issue a disclaimer, which is it is never my intention to be disrespectful or to impose an additional trauma to the families of the missing and to the lost. It is really my heart and my desire that this platform is able to give an additional awareness into cases that may be forgotten, and hopefully it'll reach someone that has some additional knowledge or some additional information that can be useful for the family. It is really my prayer and my hope that there is a resolution to these cases for families who have those who have gone missing. And while it may not necessarily be the closure and the ending that those families are looking for, that they will at least be able to close that chapter and move on with whatever information that they get. So that really is my hope and my desire for doing this, and to spotlight some cases that I feel like have just fallen off the radar of the media. So today's entry is a woman by the name of Iisha Gilmore, and she went missing February 3rd, 2006. And I remember reading about her case. It was just like a really small blurb, and I actually think that I saw her mom who was pleading for the return of her daughter, and it just really captivated me and just really pulled at my heart. And I began to Google her like every so often, and then eventually her case wound up on a website called the Charley Project.org, and I'm going to leave that link for you guys below. The Charley Project is a website that is fully dedicated to the missing and the lost, and there's a woman who runs it. Her name is Megan, I believe, and I don't know her last name, I'm sorry, but I can drop that information below along with the link. And Megan single-handedly has run this website. I think that just now I've noticed that she's asking for donations, not, in a pushy kind of way, but because this really has been an arduous project for her. It started as a labor of love, and now, just maintaining it and, fees and whatnot. It's important that people support her because the work that she's doing is so amazing and so noteworthy. And she updates that site all the time, and she has cases that goes back to I think the early 1900s, which is phenomenal. So if you haven't checked out that website, I guarantee that it is addictive kind of stuff, because you can really get lost in wondering what happened to these people, how some people just vanished into thin air in crowded areas, and you wonder how that can happen. And of course, we always think that there's an explanation to things, and there is. We just don't know what it is. But anyway, my presentation today is Iisha, and so I want to make sure that I give her the proper time and devotion that she deserves. So Iisha went missing February 3rd, 2006 from Talahassee, Florida. At the time, she was about 5 months pregnant, and I remember when I read her story that I was struck by the similarities between her and Lacey Peterson. Unfortunately, Lacey was found deceased along with her unborn son, Connor, and she has been a topic of news and interest and conversation ever since. I want to say that she went missing in 2002, and of course Scott has had multiple documentaries and multiple interviews, etc. Iisha has not had the fortune of having that type of not only interest but that kind of focus, and I just found the disparity between the two very interesting, especially since their circumstances under which they went missing was very similar, at least in as much as they were both pregnant. Anyway, like I said, Iisha was about 5 months pregnant when she went missing. She went missing from Tallahassee, Florida, and her co-workers at Publix, I think she worked in the bakery, were first alarmed because she didn't report to work. She also worked, I want to say, at the county health department, or something along those lines. She had 2 jobs, and someone at Publix became alarmed because she didn't report to work. She had worked the night before. She didn't come into work, and that was very unusual for her, and so they got concerned, and the authorities were called. When they went to the house, there was nothing really amiss. The house was locked. It was secure except for one window in the spare bedroom that was open, but it is Florida, and does tend to be very humid. And very hot in that area, so that wasn't really of great concern. The front door was locked. Her car was in the driveway. Her work keys and her purse were found in her vehicle, but her car keys and her house keys were missing. And then I'm going to read you the rest of what is on the Charley Project. So at the time that she went missing, she was having some marital issues with her husband, James, and she was perhaps casually seeing someone else, but she did want to reconcile and work things out with James. They had a counseling appointment for the day after she went missing, but both of them missed it. That day, James left a message at his wife's workplace apologizing for missing the session and saying that he had overslept. James has passed a voice stress test about Allie's disappearance and has cooperated fully with investigators. Authorities believe Allie disappeared under suspicious circumstances and may have met with foul play. She was excited and happy about the upcoming birth of her baby and believed that she would get back together with James, and her loved ones described her as a responsible person who would not have left without telling anyone. Allie had a miscarriage once before and was especially careful with her pregnancy as a result. For instance, she did not want to carry heavy items or walk upstairs. Allie is a graduate of Jupiter High School and Florida A&M University. At the time of disappearance, she worked for the Florida Department of Health and part-time for the Publix bakery. Her case remains unsolved. So I did have those details correct in terms of her workplace. Now, I will say that, of course, I've read some different articles, and that was directly from the Charley Project. And again, I will link that website below, because I do think that they have some great information, and they have a wonderful way of remaining unbiased even when there is, a certain kind of presentation, particularly in the media. They present just the facts. You can come to your own conclusion, which I appreciate. I'm not gonna lie and say that I did not suspect her husband at first, but I think that everybody in the free country did. He did pass a stress test or a lie detector, and according to the authorities, he's been fully cooperative with his conversation and with his interviews with authorities, and this has just been a baffling mystery. There have been further news articles. If you Google Iisha Gilmore, you'll see that there was like a 1-year interval and like a 3-year interval, but it was mostly local. And so unless you're in the Tallahassee, Florida area, you may not be aware of those articles or that local news coverage. But I'm not going to say that she did not have any coverage. What I am going to say is that it wasn't really on a national scale. It definitely was not on the level of some of her counterparts. I've just found this story extremely sad and extremely baffling because she just disappeared into thin air on its face. Of course, someone somewhere knows what happened to her and what her final hours were. I don't know if anyone ever interviewed this other guy that she was supposedly involved in. I don't even know if that's true. As someone who is the mother of 4 children, The last thing that I wanted when I was pregnant was to be involved with some new person. Like, that just was not a thing. There was just so much on my plate. But I will say that, as a pregnant woman, there is a certain vulnerability and there's a certain need to be loved and to be cared for and cherished, but it just seems odd to me that she would be simultaneously working on her marriage and dating someone new. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And nothing from any of the reports from anyone who has ever said anything about her would suggest that she has that kind of character or that she would even be inclined for something like that. Like, everyone that described her made me feel like she would be so focused on the birth of this little one and so excited about this little one coming, and really focused on her marriage and getting things into place until somebody new couldn't be serious. And so I don't know if the news reports actually have that right, and I don't even know where that came from, to be honest, because that's not something that I see regularly reported. Anybody that she may have been involved with may have just been someone that was assisting her and perhaps making her feel making her feel good. I mean, as you are getting bigger and having difficulty, it may have been a situation where it was more feelings from the guy than it was from her, and that happens as well. Again, I don't want to speculate, but that's just kind of like my gut feeling. Whatever happened to Iisha, it definitely is suspicious, and I do fear that she met with foul play. I don't think that she would be gone for 13 years, especially giving birth on her own and being away from her family and not having contact and things of that nature. Like, that just does not sound like that's something that is a part of her character. So unfortunately, I do think that her outcome was probably not a good one, but it's really my hope that we get some closure for her case and be able to tell her mother and her loved ones something. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Iisha Gilmore, please contact the Tallahassee Police, and I will leave the information for that department at the end of this video. Thank y'all for watching, and I will catch y'all later on. Bye.